Hello, everybody. Welcome to the weekly collective reading. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. I hope that all of you are doing well. First and foremost, if you're brand new here, you picked a great time to show up. Every single weekend, I basically make an attendance here to help us navigate challenges, opportunities, and today you picked a really great choice, which was strength. Basically, let's look at the exact thing here. Overcome any obstacle and reclaim power. As I was getting ready, walking the dog, taking a shower, I was thinking, I hope that we're doing something like blessings and blocks today, because I really do feel like that's the appropriate approach to take. And lo and behold, that's what came through. So let's chat. So first of all, I'm trying to get my graphics to work. They're not in the moment. So let me just see if I can get the intro up here. Doesn't matter. Let's just talk for a second. I'll get this working. So what I wanted to mention here was channeled messages first and foremost. So if you're new to my channel, the way that I organize the reading here is I like to begin with just pure mediumship first, and then we get into the cards. What I was picking up on in the channel messages for you was, so I was shown an image of a plane and then delays around it being able to take a flight. Some of it looked like inclement weather. So I was tuning in as I just saw a lot of water. So maybe rain delays. But if I put the two together, first of all, if you're traveling, just make sure that you're keeping in mind like the delays. But I was also shown like the King of Cups and kind of like, some of the illustrations will show someone that's like half in, half out, and it just felt like he was submerged. Emotions could be inhibiting your ability to take off into something new, to launch into something that you care about. And it's really important today, and it kind of nicely files in with the daily message for Sunday rather, just to kind of like do some introspective work. What are the emotional challenges that might be coming through? What are the fears, the anxieties, the triggers that you might be feeling in this moment in time? All of those things are very much a vital part of this moment in time. I think the other thing to focus on is to look beyond some of the trappings, and I use that word kind of intentionally, that we often get connected to when it comes to why we're doing something, motives around something. Those trappings can include expectations from others. They can include fear of success, fear of failure. Basically, you're thinking too much. So I see an eventual takeoff, but a delay, and it's better to delay until you have the clarity, like GPS, like a map, the fuel, like you would in a plane to go to the destination. So that's why today is about resting and recalibrating. And also just the feeling of I'm ready for this. So that's the first message that I got. And the next thing, as I'm looking at my dream notes here, the thing that I got here was, oh yeah, this is it. Okay. I was kind of like in a hotel or something in my mind's eye, but I could hear someone talking way too loud. The people around the person were telling them to be quiet. I was annoyed. Everyone was annoyed. And the more that I got away, I could just hear this booming voice. So that voice can actually be just distraction in your life. It can be someone who speaks so loud and so much that you can't hear yourself concentrate, right? Which is super, super frustrating. I'm going to try to fix something while we're talking. And if you've ever been around someone like this, they lack... basically they lack common sense, and they lack the ability to be empathetic and tuned into others. And it's not an easy fix all of the time to be able to kind of like get them to snap out of it, as Cher would say in Moonstruck. So it's not your job. That's one thing that I'm picking up on. It's not your job to have to like fix these people or, make them aware of themselves. But you also don't need to give them more power or mental real estate than they already have. So one thing that I would focus on and encourage you to focus on is just to realize that there's always going to be a loud voice criticizing or expecting certain things. There's always going to be people in your life that just don't know when to stop, and they're just going to keep talking. So be aware of that and don't let it take up too much real estate. For your own sort of advice and life in general, this is also a reminder to be aware of how impactful your voice is and that people might be listening to you in this moment in time, and to use the voice for something better, for something brighter. And it's not always easy, right? But if you can find a way to do that, I think that's going to help quite a bit. Okay, I fixed that. That was bothering me in the sidelines. The other thing was I just saw someone walking out. And there comes a time sometimes where we've just had enough, right? And we have to clear the air, leave the room, etc. So some of you might be at that point where you need your Eight of Cups moment. Just make sure you're doing so like without any sort of harsh words. You want to leave it on at least a neutral note so that the door stays open, especially if you're trying to get clarity, like should I stay, should I go? Okay? So those were the main messages today. It's a lot of like emotions and processing aside from the communication piece. And thankfully, since I picked up on some potential challenges, we're going to look at them today. Let me see if I can get the external camera working because everything is a little bit interesting this morning as I'm getting this set up. So I'll try to pull Apollo in the background. But while I'm doing that, a couple of notes. If you're brand new here and you want to show some support, you can do so by hitting subscribe. Later, if you'd like to, you can join me on other social platforms. But while you're here right now, you can help us make a goal. There's a little target, and I'll expand this a bit at that point when we do that. But let's go ahead and say a quick hello to Apollo. Let me just get the camera set up, and we'll see if it works. There we go. What a cutie pie. He's holding some space for us in the background. While he's doing that, we're going to get ready for the 7-day forecast. Let me go ahead and select a deck of cards and we'll begin. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. All right. So this portion is for everybody that showed up today. As is everything until I kind of like go into the elements. So if you're here, there's a message for you. Just stick around. We got a lot to talk about today. So we're going to begin with the energy for today, which is fantastic. So as you're tuning in, we have the High Priestess in the reverse position. She's still the High Priestess. I like this version of the cards, this card rather, because if you look closely, you can see her eyes behind the eyelids. She's looking beyond this moment, beyond the distractions, beyond that loud booming voice. But what she's receiving, she may not be completely trusting. And there is an encouragement in this moment to really trust yourself a little bit more. Trust the instincts, trust the visions. Even if you're seeing something that you're wondering, like, is this true? Is this happening? She's coming through and she's saying, yeah, this is very much a real download. The disbelief could hold you back from either avoiding a challenge. I mentioned the plane that can't take off or the water around it. So the emotions, the things that are weighing it down, but it could also be like there's an easier path, there's another method, there's a different way to get there. So look beyond the one solution that you might be focusing on, and there might be something better. I'm also looking at her throat chakra, and there's a little almost like a, what is that, like a medical symbol overprinted on that. So some of you might be working on healing your voice. It could be literally like after laryngitis or sore throat, but it could also be figuratively being able to speak up and speak up about what you see, what you want, your creativity, like your ideas. It's hard sometimes. I mentioned a moment that really stuck with me. I worked for a long time in corporate structures, but like of those 15 years that I did it, there was one time where every idea that I was saying in a meeting got shot down, and I spoke up and I said, maybe I should just shut up, because I actually had it up, well, not just up to here, I had it up to here. And later I got reprimanded, but I'm like, you actually weren't listening to me. This is when I knew I needed to leave. But it's hard. Like, our voices get shut down by multiple people in our lives. Teachers, partners, neighbors, family, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters. And when it's someone that you care about, it hurts more and it gets under your skin and you can't as easily kind of hide it. And there is sort of like that boiling over point. So some of you might just be speaking up and saying, I don't like it when you shut me down without listening. That's really all this is about sometimes. So I used a work example, but this could happen consistently also in a relationship. If someone, like I even remember parents would do this sometimes, like use your indoor voice, be quiet. And I get it because I actually tuned into it in the channeled messages. There's two sides of the coin. I'm seeing the other side with the High Priestess, which is maybe someone's just saying the truth. So yes, be aware of what you're saying. But if what you're saying is at a normal volume and is kind or is clear and they just don't want to hear it, that's a different perspective, because I can see both sides here in the cards. So that might just be someone who doesn't like to be criticized or doesn't like to hear the truth. That doesn't mean you ignore the truth. That means that your voice isn't welcome there, and that you could use it better somewhere else. So there's definitely two sides to this. We want to avoid criticism without a constructive element, but when the constructive element is there and compassion is there and someone still tunes it out, that's like Five of Swords. They just don't want to hear the truth. And that's not your job to fix. You're not the teacher. All right, let's look at Monday. On Monday, we actually see a very good card here. Knight of Cups, being able to take a creative idea or vision to the next level. This is a great day to meet with people. If you want to do something social, you can see here in the corner, there's a little love note with a seal on it. This is a great day to express yourself. Say, I care about you, thank you, I love you, or meet up with a friend or a partner. So definitely, mixing and mingling with people, anything that you want to do where there's an emotional stake in it. It's also about creativity. Because it's a knight, it's moving the needle forward and it's active. So rather than being passive and hoping that people read tea leaves and figure it out, you're just going to put yourself out there. The worst you have, worst case scenario, they're not interested and you know it. Best case scenario, they're interested and you know it. So it's just a matter of getting clarity. Rejection is just clarity. That's not the path. And then you can put your airplane in another mode, right? And go in another direction. I actually kind of love that perspective of rejection. At least I know. Now I can focus on something else. Where I might have been pining away or thinking that person was more of a friend than they were. They're not. And so I'm not getting any of that with this, by the way, since it's upright. But if there is any fear, it will be for your benefit, especially since this is in the upright position, because you can use your energy in other places, okay? I love the wild stallion in the background. It feels like if there's anything creative or fun that you put your energy into, you're going to see quite a bit of momentum working in your favor. It's just a matter of getting started, okay? Now let's take a look at Tuesday. All right, on Tuesday, we have the Nine of Cups. Dream and wish fulfillment, a celebration well worth your time and well worth the wait, I should say. And I love that we have this little treasure chest on the sideline that's open. If you've felt any blocks, I feel like Tuesday is the day where it all starts to shift in a new direction. And it feels like the wait was worth it. The time is starting to shift in your favor and the energy shifting in your favor. Look at life's little blessings. If you've been working really hard on something and make a minor step towards that goal or dream, celebrate it, embrace it, and think, thank goodness this is going on. Avoid extremes. I will say this. You can see in this card, it's like, woohoo, best day ever. If it were reversed, it could be like worst day ever or just super intense. So wherever you might be on your extreme, this isn't the full truth. This is kind of like, if you're like in the car or if you work in audio engineering, it's like it's in the red a little bit. It's a little too high and you want to take the level down. For those of you that podcast or do mics, work with mics rather, you know that you've got to kind of avoid it peaking. You want to get it a little bit close, but not all the way. So you're kind of at the peak of the energy here on Tuesday. So be mindful of that and try to find your way back to the center. And the way that you can find it back to center is just by taking a break, by taking a deep breath, grounding yourself, and basically contextualizing the experience in this moment. But by the way, these are three really good cards. It does feel like you're headed in a good direction thus far, and it's getting you ready for this. So for those of you where your plane can't take off today, figuratively speaking, because this is Sunday, it feels like by the middle of the week, you're getting ready, but I actually feel that Thursday's when it all starts to happen. So the planning happens here. Wednesday, which we're going to talk about, might be a slight delay or hiccup, but it's not going to be probably more than 24 to 48 hours. Okay, so let's talk about the Six of Swords. Maybe like there's 2 or 3 steps forward and then like 1 step back that you're taking this day. So a minor setback, a minor delay, but also a recalibration. And you might just be asking yourself, do I need to let go of something before moving on? So these 3 birds can't carry her all on their own. They're trying. There's some in the background that are kind of like tugging at her attention and energy. But what we can think about here is the suitcase. The suitcase represents baggage, emotional baggage, actual baggage. And as someone who's going to be moving in about 8 days to a temporary location, I can relate to this too, because you have to ask yourself when you touch certain belongings, do I really need this? When was the last time I used it, thought about it, cared about it? In our own life, before we make a significant shift, career, love, moving in, moving out, moving on, when it comes to also like living situations, you get an opportunity to do that. So a blessing of those situations is understanding that you don't need everything. And I've had to split my time, so I'm still emptying out my old place, but having been displaced for about 6 weeks or so, I don't actually think about the stuff in the apartment a lot of it was lost. So it's like, well, I guess it's not a big deal anyway because it doesn't carry as much weight and I don't feel as weighted down. So you have a chance to lighten your load on all levels. The physical load, the emotional load, the the sort of like connections and commitments that you have, prune. This is a day to prune, to release, and to plan for, like, got 1 foot out the door, but you're not quite ready to get both feet out. There could also be a tangible delay. I kept seeing water. In one image, I saw like you underwater, but to me, that's just indicative of like you have to ground yourself and get your bearings. And it's like, again, the Queen of Cups reversed or King of Cups reversed. Something emotionally isn't quite ready on Wednesday, but you'll get there by the next day. But do plan, by the way, if you are going to travel, to include some travel insurance. It's sometimes worth it. This is a day where there could be a delay, there could be lost luggage, something. And when you're packing, also plan for that. If there's anything you really care about, try to keep it on your person. When I travel, the most important piece is right there, Mr. Apollo, and maybe my laptop. But he's the most important by far, right, buddy? He says, yes, Dad, leave me alone. So precious cargo. Pay attention to what it is. And if it's too precious, ask yourself, do I need it for the, like, is there a better way to handle this? You don't want to pack too much, okay? All right, so let's go to, I think, one of the most pivotal days, because there were 2 cards that stuck together, Thursday. So we'll do the presenting card first, Ace of Swords. I like this Ace of Swords because it is so clear that many of you are getting ready to take action on something. We have the spiraling staircase, kind of has a little bit of an Aries vibe to it as I'm looking at it. Aries or Taurus, it depends on how you want to look at it, but I'm seeing the horns there. So you're tuning in, your antenna are definitely connected to source. But the one thing she's not doing, I'd love her to have her eyes open. She's listening, she's tuning in, but she's got to be aware of timing and what's going on, because I feel like there's a little bit of overthinking going on. And there's never a person on the aces. There shouldn't be if it's Rider-Waite-Smith, but I enjoy seeing it when someone puts it on there, then I pay attention to it. It's also saying, you know, when you have an idea, executing on that idea is very important. Ace of Wands is more about the cooking and thinking and dreaming, and Ace of Swords is more about speaking, doing, creating. And so what are you doing to bring this into reality, to even just to speak it into action? Beneath it, we have the Seven of Pentacles. This is a card that represents a rebound, a little bit of growth, a little bit of healing, more than enough resources, but also a reminder not to overextend yourself, because some of you might have just been on the heels of exactly that. Working too hard, spending too much, feeling like the rubber band is ready to stretch and break. So the card prior to this Six of Pentacles is about balance, remembering the lessons of that. And many of the previous, not all, but specifically the 2 and the 5 of Pentacles, well, actually 2, 4, and 5. 2, you have to make choices. 4, you're holding yourself back a little bit. 5, there's self-confidence. Remember you've overcome many of those issues. So 7 is saying, I'm moving beyond all of those and I'm ready to grow. I have to just focus on what's important, what matters. Discernment, in another way of stating it, is what's important. And that should be the central focus. Can I do it? Should I do it? Because we've already worked through the self-confidence piece. We know you can do it. And hopefully that helps. By the end of the week, your perseverance, your persistence, your sheer stubbornness actually pays off. Typically, we see someone here who has a bandage around their forehead, maybe just some signs of being through a battle. She's just saying, you haven't gotten me. I will overcome this challenge. She's exactly what the topic is today. Like, I'm not going to give up. Try though you may to make me, I'm not going to give up. And I love that about the way that this is illustrated. There's still a fence there. She's built up some defenses. She might also be kind of pushing through other people's defenses as well. But she will overcome any challenge. And she understands that if you've gone 90% of the way, why not finish the last 10%? That's often the most challenging because that's where the emotions set in. And I often compare this to the marathon runners. So if you haven't seen this, you can just go to YouTube or Google and see it. But people that run professional marathons, whether it's a 5K or something else, that very last leg of the journey, sometimes their body will go into spasms and they have to like push. It's almost excruciating to get to the end. I think recently there was a race where a couple of people helped someone get to the finish line, even though it meant that their time would be different, because sometimes people just run the races to prove that they can do it. It's not a competitive thing. You're competing against yourself. So that's really the message here, is you're only competing against yourself. And you can push through this, but it shouldn't have to always be like that. So whatever task in front of you is really occupying your time and energy, yes, push through it, but then ask yourself, how can I work smarter? Because we just talked about that with this. You can't stretch yourself all the time. So one last push to get to the finish line, and then the universe is saying, let's not repeat that path, that struggle to the same degree, okay? All right. So let's take a look at the weekend. In this upcoming Saturday, we have the Knight of Pentacles. This is one of my favorite versions of it because it actually shows us the work that the knight's done. It's not just a knight on a horse. So this knight took a break from riding and he's walking. So you might slow the pace a little bit, but not stop it. And he's kind of looking over his shoulders at all of the seeds of intention. And we've been talking about that, planting seeds of intention. I feel like I discussed it in the 2 June readings that I just did and many of the dailies. Celebrate the work that you've done, review the things that you want to see progress on, and then decide where to go next without just galloping in that direction. This is a day to pause and then continue. So it's basically informed, and there's a better word that I want to sort of say here, but yeah, it's mostly like an informed directive. Like you're deciding to go in this direction because of tangible data points, and also like you're just seeing like this makes sense, this is smart. Okay, a great day to look at budgets, to talk money. If you need more, ask. If you want an opportunity, this is a great day to send out an application, to have a meeting, to invite someone to a discussion or whatever. Like you're very persuasive on Saturday. Okay, and then finally, as we take a look at a week from today, we have the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. What I'm getting with this card is it's very interesting because this can represent a homecoming, but think about, for any of you that are old enough to have gone to a reunion, whether it's like a 5-year reunion, a 10-year reunion, it could be for school, it could be for family. The more years that pass, the more like obvious the disconnection between you and that moment in time are. So I'm thinking back to, was it my 10th or 20th? I know it was a significant high school reunion, but I remember people still looked like each other, but we were all very much on our own path. And it felt, gosh, it must have been my 20th high school reunion. So yeah, 20 years from something can really separate you and make you understand like that was a long time ago. But what I remember going back to my old hometown was everything seemed smaller and different. like more different than I remembered. And we didn't go back to the school, but if you've ever gone back to an old office, old school, or old home, it doesn't hold the same energy that it used to in your mind, in your heart. The place looks, smells, and is different. So you've outgrown something. You're ready to shed a skin like a snake so that you can grow. And sometimes we need to reflect on that. We need to step foot in an old house. We need to connect with an old group. We need to go through an old town, and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I wouldn't want to be here right now. Maybe there's a homecoming where you're like, oh my gosh, I miss this. But the distance has given you clarity. So I'm getting homecoming with a different perspective with this 10 of Pentacles, not something that I always pick up on. I think the traditional card has connections to, like, is it Odysseus or whatever? Same thing. You've been traveling through life, had all of these journeys, and then you come back a different person. You can't go back into the box. And it's interesting because family often wants us to go back into the box. In fact, I'm sure many of us have heard it, and if not about ourselves, then someone else. What happened to my little girl or boy? And it's like, don't infantilize me. Don't say something like that. I'm grown up. You're grown up. We don't want to be in those old roles. We're supposed to be able to, and you even hear people, they grow up so fast, and yes, but let's not try to freeze frame. You can enjoy the memories and enjoy the pictures, but we have to allow ourselves to grow, and we have to allow others to grow. And it's interesting because we're in a moment in society where age is feared. We are so busy stretching and doing all of this stuff to kind of like pretend that age and time doesn't happen, but it's happening. So let's embrace the inevitability of the progression of time. Let's embrace the growth that it doesn't allow us to go back into the boxes. And let's push aside anybody else's fears or wishes that we would freeze ourselves in time. You are supposed to be different, a different person now, okay? This can also be about you reassessing where you spend your time and energy. This can be a change of job, a change of relationship status, a change of home. It definitely connects to me. And so you're looking at, is this right? Is this the right expenditure? Is this the right connection? And some of you are just trying to get your roots. You might have recently been relocated, or again, moving in, moving out, moving up, something. And whatever that is, just like a plant that gets transplanted, the roots need time. We have a beautiful symbol of that. They need time to grow, and there's a lot going on beneath the surface, okay? So yeah, kind of powerful 10 of Pentacles message coming through about growing up. We never stop growing up. We never stop becoming an adult. So that's why I think that question, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? It never really holds a lot of weight because we're constantly growing up. I think we should be anyway. All right, so highlights. Today is definitely a highlight, but don't second guess your intuition. I think that this upcoming Saturday is also a highlight. But honestly, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all highlights. Next Saturday is a highlight. The rest of the week presents options and opportunities, but there's no real challenge this week that you can't overcome. Wednesday just presents a delay, and this is just the universe trying to box you in, but we gave great examples of why and how you're not going to allow that to happen, okay? So let me see on my side here which deck I want to use, and we're going to take a look now at the elements. So the elements basically just give us a chance to quickly check in. I will have all the videos up this week. I created a new format that's going to allow me to go through them a little bit faster, and I have to do it because I'll be, like, next Sunday is the last video that I'll do in this place. TBD where I end up next. Okay, so let me just clear the table here. I'll let you see Apollo for a second while I pick my next deck. Yeah, we're just going to clear all these cards here. All right, so again, time for the elements. Let's give the cards a shuffle and see what's coming through. Okay, we're going to look at fire, earth, air, water. We'll begin with the fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Okay, we have the Three of Cups. Three of Cups in the reverse position. This is very much like the highs and lows of the Nine of Cups, but a little less intense, if you will. Some of you might just be having, again, a moment where you're thinking that there's a lot going on, but what you're receiving here is from the people in your life. There might be peer pressure, familial pressure, societal pressure to do something that makes them happy, but not you. I want you to prioritize your happiness. It is not selfishness. It's actually just like being able to be self-sustaining over time. We can't make everyone else happy at the expense of ourselves, right? So that's one message here. The other thing here with the Three of Cups in reverse is to be more inclusive to the people in your life. There might be someone who just feels like they're on the outside. And for anybody that's been on the outside before, you know how important it is to have someone come in, offer a helping hand, offer a hug, and support you. This is also a reminder to kind of come out of your shell, and you might be an unlikely social butterfly where you don't want to get involved in something social, but when you do, you're fine, but you need to recharge your battery afterwards. So for some of you, there might be a public event that takes a lot, but it's worth it, but you're going to make sure that you don't have back-to-back commitments because you're going to need a nap or a meditation period or just space to sit and do nothing afterwards because there's a lot of intensity here. The challenge for Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius this week, particularly when it comes to developing relationships or getting someone's approval, is they seem a little non-committal. The Three of Cups is usually connected with someone trying to feel out a situation, see how they feel, what they want, and they're not quite ready to sign on the dotted line. So you might need to have a few back and forths. I wouldn't always see it like that with this, but that's what I'm seeing. So there may not be a single decision maker. If you're applying for a job, you might have 3 rounds of interviews. You might have to meet with 2 or 3 different people, and it's a group consensus, and they're a little bit cliquish. So figure out who the decision maker in a group is and work with them. Or if there is a clique and you're having a hard time working with them, I can't remember if it was a daily or if it was a monthly, but I was talking about the importance of working through an assistant, like an administrative assistant. I think it was a daily that I talked about this. Sometimes there's a different, you don't always have to work with the main decision maker. It can be someone who is in the sphere of influence, right? So think about who else might be able to help you, especially if this group is too close-minded. And if you're looking for love, you might be able to find it, but someone is taking their time before getting ready to be committed, or there's multiple people at play. So you might be one of many when you're looking at potential partnership or potential opportunities. So how can you stand out from the crowd without changing yourself, without compromising your needs? It's a little bit of a dance. It's a little bit of a delicate week, but socializing is something that you should be focusing on this week because it's who is around you that can kind of help you get to the finish line. Ultimately, a pretty good card. We like Three of Cups, but the reversal is just saying avoid gossip, avoid cliques, try to be inclusive, and you might have a difficult time getting someone to commit, but you can start to make some progress. All right, moving on from fire to earth. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. This is a great illustration for the Five of Wands. We kind of, instead of a piñata, we have a hornet's nest here. And you know what? What the heck is going on with this person in the background? Why aren't they warning the other people that that's not a piñata, that is a hornet's nest? It's a great indication of what Five of Wands can represent, which is sometimes people feed off of conflict. Sometimes it feels like I'm going to take that jab, but you're going to get stung in the process. So let's avoid unnecessary conflict. Let's rise above these sort of bubbling up energies that might be happening around you, like whether it's a heated argument or someone that's just going off and not listening. What you can do with the Five of Wands is less is more. So take 1 or 2 people, because Ace of Wands, 2 of Wands, 3 of Wands, 4, everything below this is great. It's this that's not working. So either take the problem person out of the mix or work around them and get back to the vision. So Ace and the 2 of Wands are just saying, what's the idea? Where's it trying to be headed? Is this really worth my time and energy? There might be a job where it's just a job. There might be a relationship where there's too much work. There might be something in your life where you're like, why am I spinning my wheels so much over this? Exactly. Why are you spinning your wheels so much over this? There's something better that you can focus on. Put the energy there, and then you'll get to the 6 of Wands. Look beyond the distraction, and don't swat at that hornet's nest. Don't engage in an argument that you think you can win, because there might be someone who's just willing to go for it and pull out their stinger. So we're going to look for a better path. We're going to try to take the high road. We're going to focus on getting back to the vision, to working around that person, as I was talking about earlier, because there's a better way than this. And if something is just work, then you're not working on it. You're just spinning your wheels. So relationships are work, but if you're putting in all the work all the time and the other person isn't, if you're at a job and you're asked to give to the point where it's like squeezing blood from a turnip, is that what it is? There comes a point where I feel like you're reaching that final straw. Let's do that before that straw breaks the camel's back, right? To mix the metaphors a little bit. What I do see with this that I do like, and one way that we can look at Five of Wands and celebrate it, is you can get a lot done. Take a moment to see why you're working so hard. You know, we had that Knight of Pentacles that was looking over his shoulder, and just make sure that the work is worth it and you're not spinning your wheels in any location. You're one step away from success this week, Earth signs. So don't let conflict or distraction get in the way of the progress that you're making. You've still got this. I just want you to be rewarded for the hard work and for the hard work to be worth it. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's move on to the air signs. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Well, we love this. This is great, the Chariot. You're moving on. You're moving up, you're moving out, movement. But you're also taking the reins. And if there's something that you need to influence, steer, or control this week, you've got the capacity to do all of the above here with the Chariot card. The only thing here is that the horse and carriage are taking off without you. So it feels like you need to do a little bit of catch up, not to the point of like panicking. Please don't. Just that like the minute you connect with something, you're off to the races. And I feel like you've been waiting for a sign or signal. Here you go. Here's your sign or signal. The only thing that happens sometimes with the Chariot card is really focusing on making sure that, typically there's two horses on this, but that everybody's on the same page, because if the two horses go in a different direction, or if you haven't done the prep work, like make sure all the wheels in the Chariot are where they need to be going, then you might have that delay. We saw the midweek point being that delay. So let's avoid dragging our heels, and let's make sure that everyone's on the same page, and let's do a little bit of like a pre-flight checklist, and that's going to help you. This card also is fiercely independent, so if you need to do something and you need to do it on your own, you have the capacity to do that, okay? Travel is something to pay attention to this week. I gave you some tips on travel. Only take what you need. Check into your emotions. Don't panic if Wednesday presents a slight delay. It's probably a protective one at that. So there you go. Let's move on now to the water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. There's a choice beyond what's obvious. Two of Swords in reverse. So she's not blindfolded. This is one of the few decks where she's not blindfolded, which is great. We do have a wolf in the background, and I'm not sure if she's aware of that wolf. So environmental opportunities, potential pitfalls, and distractions need to be paid attention to. When the card is blindfolded, the two swords, two paths, two opportunities are showing you that there's at least another that you haven't considered. So moving beyond the obvious and releasing things like I can't, I won't, or it will never to proceed whatever it is associated with your goal or dream. Because if you are limiting things before they've had a chance to actually spark into existence, it's sort of like defeating the purpose, right? So move beyond those internal fears and limits that we place on ourselves so often. And getting sort of like, what's the best word here? Inquisitive. Ask questions. The little kid in the back of the car, but why? This is the day that you want to be that kid. Not to the point that you say it 5 times. Once is enough. You know, say, well, that sounds great. Why are we doing this? Have we thought about this? How close are we to the destination? That's, Mom, are we there yet? Just say, how are we tracking? How much gas is left in the tank? What are we doing to make sure that this is strategic and this makes sense? We'll use adult language around it, but we are really asking, are we there yet? And why are we doing this? The other thing here is with the wolf in the background, there might be someone that's trying to surprise you. It could be a good surprise. There might be something in your life that takes you by surprise. Don't beat yourself up if that happens. This is basically just the universe encouraging you to open up your third eye, because that can help you see the other hidden options in front of you, and not to take things for granted, to always be open to other things, okay? And otherwise, I feel like this is good. You could also just surprise yourself with your ability to navigate through a challenge, an opportunity, etc. Okay? All right. So we're now going to go into today's special topic, which again is strength, overcome any obstacle or barrier. And the way that I was thinking about this, and it gives me an idea for maybe something that I'll do midway into next month, is just like blessings and blocks. But with every block that I see, I'll be able to help you find a blessing or a solution. All right, I'm going to find another deck. We'll let Apollo's napping presence keep you company, and I'll be right back. All right, let's go ahead and get ready for the special topic today. If you're brand new or just came here, take a moment, please, and take a deep breath. Okay, see yourself in a circle of light connected to the sun, the stars, the moon, whatever you see as your light source. Welcome in angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters, and know that you are protected and connected. Wow, I love the synchronicity of the Six of Swords coming through again. This time for all of us. Zoom out just a smidge. Okay. All right, let me choose a couple of other decks here. So somebody asked me if I can repost the elements separately. I actually tried a few years ago posting highlights, and they don't actually do much. Like, so the interesting thing is they kind of cannibalize and repeat content, which YouTube doesn't like. But we'll see. One of these days, maybe they could make it into a short or like a teaser. But I have so much other content that I need to do this week. I don't think this time around that's what I want to focus on. So I appreciate the suggestion, and I'll consider it for the future. How about that? But I do put timestamps. Dakota's off today, so I will be doing it later this afternoon. But you always have the timestamps there to help you out. So you can just come back to this video, and that actually helps the performance of this video. So that would be my advice, is just to come back here and click the timestamps. And I'd rather put my energy into making sure that all the monthlies are done than sort of like clipping existing stuff. Just because I have a lot going on this week, like I have to move, like I said. But I appreciate it. I'll think about it. I'll think about if there is a way to make that happen. But I'm also just letting you know why I don't do it. I've tried it before, and YouTube doesn't like it when you put the same content up, unless it is specifically like a clip from an interview or something like that. And don't worry, I'm just going to assume that we made our goal, because by the way, for those of you commenting on the target. So if it's not, you have to click the target to have it counted, but if it's not working, don't worry about it. I can kind of see in the corner of my eye that many of you are helping me make the goal, so it'll be okay. All right, so let's get back into the topic. So we're going to start off with a catalyst. In the catalyst, I love this, the snake. I was talking about the homecoming message, right? The 10 of Pentacles, I think that was in the weekly forecast. So you got to shed your skin. Yes, this can be a healing card. It's also a card connected to your inner power. But what I was seeing in the channeled messages, I was channeling as I looked at it, was that idea of I have to shed my skin and I've grown, so I don't fit into these old situations. You might have outgrown a job, a relationship, a career path, something you feel constricted, and it's like, I gotta let go. Absolutely. The other thing here is healing your voice, allowing yourself to feel whole, maybe after there's been a loss or a lack of something in your life. And I think that, it's important to prioritize yourself this week, okay? You can get yourself out of any situation, maybe even into any situation. Snakes are sneaky. They are flexible. They can get in and out of places that other things can't. I just watched a really good movie on Netflix. My neighbors were like, sometimes we'll do a movie night. It's the one with Sally Field and Lewis Pullman. It's about an octopus? Yeah. They work at an aquarium. But anyway, it was very smart, and it plays a pivotal role in this, and it can slide in and out of things, and it reminds me of the snake. That was a good movie. Like, you'll cry a little bit, you'll laugh a little bit. It's a good movie. But here we go with that snake spirit. The same thing. It represents power and flexibility and ingenuity, because you can get in and out of things, all right? Let me just get another drink, and then I'm going to take us to the center here. Yeah, it's nice to see a good movie on occasion that's just on streaming services. It was easy to watch. And I definitely cried a little bit. It's a tearjerker, but not like sad tears, just kind of happy, sappy stuff. Okay, let's go to the center card, the Six of Swords. Six of Swords in the reverse position. I feel like this is what I was just talking about earlier. So with this one, the other thing is, if not now, then when? There's a direction that you've been thinking of heading, and Spirit's saying, what is it going to take? I can't even articulate it, because it's kind of like the guides are laughing. Like, when are you just going to push start, or turn the key in the ignition, or step out the door? It feels like everything's been lined up. So this is the time. And if not this, then there's going to have to be a different path, because the way that I look at opportunities is they only come knocking so often. There will be another one, but this one may not come around again. So if you want to do it, do it. You can always manifest something different, something similar. But this one, I feel like it's last and final offer for something. So if you're ready, do it. And if not, then make peace with the fact that you might have to try something else. This is the connecting flight. This is the thing that there's one delay, but then it has to happen, okay? Lighten the load. We talked about ways to do that earlier. And to get to the topic here, overcome any obstacles. So if there's a delay put in front of you, make the most of the delay, but don't let it stop the progress. Because, like I said, there's something that you're meant to go through. So finish the path, finish the journey, get on the flight, do what you need to do. But the one delay will not mean that you can't do the next one on the flight roster. So as someone, like a year ago when there was all the fires in LA, I had to do a bunch of trips. Coming back from the East Coast to the West Coast was a nightmare, because there was multiple delays at every airport due to inclement weather, particularly like I spent some time in Pennsylvania, and then I had to do a connecting flight through Minnesota. They're the worst places to be in the winter because of all the snow and slush and rain and all of that. So everywhere I went, I had to stay overnight in one of the cities because of that. But sometimes you can take the next flight. I was just like, give me the next one out of here. And I feel like that's kind of this energy, is an unfortunate, an unnecessary delay, but it's not going to stop you unless you want it to. You have to be sort of mindful of that. Sometimes you avoid a flight and it's good because that flight ended up like losing luggage or something. So that block can be a blessing. So let's look at it as just that. Okay? Okay. So now let's take a look at what's crossing this. Lots of synchronicities. So we have a very, very fruitful Seven of Pentacles. Like, it's so big that it looks like Jack and the Beanstalk. So what I like about this is, if you're on a rebound, rebound on a relationship, if your financial situation has been challenging, but you're working at it, I see something that surpasses like what there was before. Greater love, greater resources, greater health, and it might surprise you. I actually had an interesting experience yesterday when I went to the chiropractor. I had slept on the couch inadvertently the other night, and I had all of this pain. And I thought, gosh, I got to wait till like 1 o'clock the next day. So I did some pranic healing on myself, like a lot, like maybe for an hour. And I was like, let me just see what I can do. I woke up the next day and the pain was gone. I still had some stuff in my knees, but when he was working on me, he's like, I don't know what you did, but like it feels like it's shifted. I was like, oh, okay. So we can heal ourselves too. Sometimes you just have to be very committed to it. When I have to do the healing, because I've done it here before, sometimes I can do it in the muscles. I don't know how or why I make it work. I'm like, just like, this is going to heal. I need this to work. I'm going to release whatever it is that's causing this pain, and I'm going to allow the energy to work through it. I do something akin to Reiki, but it's not. It's actually just more, it's like chi or source energy, and I'll move it through me. And I just really let it, it's almost like, so what you can imagine in your mind's eye is like you're standing at the foot of a gentle waterfall. Let the energy flow through you, or the water flow through you, and take away whatever it is that you're holding on to and take it back to source. That's kind of, it's not exactly how Reiki works, but you're not using your energy to move it. So with chi or source or pranic flow, same thing. I'm just inviting the flow of energy to clear, and then I'm just the conduit. So you can do that in your own life. Let your mind be cleared. Let your finances be cleared. Let your health be cleared. Allow source energy to flow through you and push away the stuff around you. So use that metaphor, and that we can do it a little bit in the meditation. We'll try to invite the flow of abundance through us today. So stick around till the end if you like that. And remind me in chat too, okay? One thing to remember here, I like to think of this as the constant cosmic gardener, the Seven of Pentacles. It takes perseverance, like showing up every day, and consistency, and patience. Patience is the hardest piece with this, but look at how it pays off. This card always reminds me of how cool it was, like when I was on the East Coast and we had this really big garden as a kid. If we would take a family vacation and then come back like a week later, it really did feel like something out of like an illustration like this. So there would be corn and pumpkins and flowers and all this stuff that had seemingly grown overnight. And all it was the distance, the space away from it. Because when you're impatient, you look at it every day, you don't see it. But when you get some distance and come back, you're like, look at all the growth. So Spirit is saying, look at all the growth. It may not be in your field of vision, could be beneath the surface like that other Seven of Pentacles, or it could be just on the precipice of having a spurt. Because sometimes things will grow overnight. You've been waiting for something, and then there's just like, shoots up. And then there's blooms or there's new growth. And I feel like you're on the precipice of a bud opening or that sort of green shoot coming out of a plant. It's not here right now, folks, but it will be soon. We'll take a drink and we'll move on to the deep past, which I love. And yeah, someone in chat just wrote, go with the flow. I like that. Okay. This card in this particular deck, and I'm using Curious Travelers, or something like that, Curious Travels. When we get the Traveler's card in this deck, it is like right beyond the world. Think of the universe or the cosmos. And it's saying, I need to go beyond the program, beyond the beyond. And because both this and the Six of Swords, which represent literally traveling and moving, were reversed, there's something fear-based that might be stepping in the way. I'd like you to look, for those of you that do understand your chart, look at whatever your transits are, look at your sun, rising, and moon, and see what's coming through right here, right now, because that can help you out. I like a great astrologer that I like to follow, Chani Nicholas. She has a great app. She does weeklies too. So she can kind of help you with some of those transits, just supporting someone else in the community. I love her for that. So you can kind of see what's going on, and that'll give you an astrological grounding on like why is this happening? And then I can help you through the mediumship and the tarot pieces here. But I'm looking at all the planets, and there might be something worth looking at. particularly this, when I'm looking, that is like it reminds me of moon. So I'd love you to look at what your moon is. So for me, my moon is in Taurus, and I love Taurus, but Taurus is an interesting place to have a moon energy, because sometimes I get stubborn in something, and emotionally, like intellectually, I know what to do, but my emotions keep me parked for a second, keep me grounded, because I'm like, but I want that. It's the very, but also like when I really want something, that helps me figure out a way to make it happen. So I understand an aspect of myself, which is the emotions can get very stuck or stubborn, but they can also be very powerful if I can activate them in a way where it's like, no, I want this. We're going to have this. We're going to make this work. Then it's good. I have a placement also in, just for fun. Feel free to put in chat what your placements are too. But so my sun is Libra, my rising is Capricorn, and my moon is Taurus. And then for Venus, it's in Virgo. So knowing those things helps me understand like why I work so hard. Thank you, Capricorn. How I can see things from all angles rather. Thank you, Libra. And why I like things very organized and beautiful. Thank you, Virgo. And then my stubbornness and tenacity comes from the Taurus side. But all of them put together, I have a lot of earth that helps me with the air. So it all kind of balances out, but I understand myself better. So take a look. If you've never done your chart, take a look at it, because we're getting a very planetary note here. And knowing that about you can help you out, can help you understand why. My mom and I had a flip of the rising and the moon. So her moon was Capricorn and her rising was Taurus. So she was stubborn and got what she wanted, but she tried to figure everyone out. So a Capricorn moon, it's like, but why are they doing that? I'm like, Mom, who cares? Like, they don't really, they don't even know why, but she was very curious, and she tried to intellectualize the heart. And I was like, that's your Capricorn. That's your Capricorn moon coming through. So it actually does have, like, you can align certain things in your life. I really think astrology helps you understand yourself. So dig a little deeper. There's a lot of great free resources out there. There's some great practitioners out there. And the more you know, the more you understand yourself. So think about that if it helps. Okay, so let's take a look at what's coming through in the recent past. We have the Two of Cups. It's in the reverse position. I had an epiphany when I saw this yesterday, and I thought, why don't I talk about this more? There could be someone in your life that's codependent. They need or want too much. It's not just a card of discernment, but it's like you're never able to fill up their cup enough, or they're not willing or able to fill up yours occasionally. So you may need to have better boundaries with someone. I like that they showed the intertwining energies here, like the two snakes and the two cups. You can get wound up in someone else's energy, or they can wind themselves up and try to pull you into that tornado, and it's just not worth it right now. So boundaries is really, really an important thing to be paying attention to in relationships, partnerships, friendships. When I say relationships, it's all levels: professional, romantic, just familial and neighbor relations. Like everybody, there just might be someone that crosses the line a little bit. So it's important to hold your ground and clear things out a little bit, okay? There could also be an unexpected ally or alliance that could be coming into the picture. And if that's the case, just stay open to that. Okay, crowning position. This, I think, is one of the biggest challenges right now. And, okay, can this card come off the table, please? This is, I mentioned overcome obstacles and reclaim power. This is an inner battle more than anything. So the Four of Pentacles comes through when we protect ourselves, build a fortress around your heart, like the Police song or the Sting song. But it also comes through when we're taught from friends, family, society that we're supposed to keep giving until it bleeds. Like, you're not worth it. You're not enough, not this enough, that enough, etc. That, my friends, is just someone else's projection, and it's not a good projection. They are trying to kind of like push you down and keep you stunted. I like to use the example of like a bonsai tree, right? Purposely, the way that we stunt a tree like that is to cut the roots, put it in a small pot, and prune it. It's not allowed to grow. It's beautiful, but I don't feel like it's I'm not judging the practice, but like energetically, I can't imagine that that's a good thing for us. So we don't want to be a bonsai. We want to grow to our highest potential and reach for the stars. And there's something in your life where it might be you holding yourself back or others trying to put you in a smaller pot. And everything this month is about like shedding the skin, getting transplanted, getting freed from your constraints. Also a very important piece of that movie that I was watching the other night. We have to get free from our emotional sort of like constraints, environmental and societal. People want to kind of keep us in a little box sometimes. And this isn't a month where that's going to work, or a week, because I'm looking at the next 7 days. Okay. In the near future, we have a really good card here, Queen of Wands, rather. It's all snakes and fire today, which makes sense. So the Queen of Fire, I love that she has her little black cat on her lap. She can land on her feet no matter what you throw in her direction. She can think through any challenge or problems, a problem in front of her rather, but it requires creativity. So it may not be convenient, it may not be what you want to do, but you're being invited to imagine something else. So if not this, then what? If not this relationship, this job, this path, what else do I want? What else makes me happy? And it may not be something you can answer in this instant. You might have to think on it for a week or a month or a little bit longer to get to the root of the situation. And you will be able to land on your feet. So she's basically a big sunflower in this card, but basically, or you can see maybe the sun is the disc behind her. Are you leading or are you following? Because when she holds the sunflower in this deck, was it heliotropic? I think it is, but basically it follows the light of the sun. She's the source. Be the source. Don't be the follower. And it's a little scary sometimes to become your own source. But you've got this. The Queen is always there to remind you that you are the spark. You are the source. You are the light. Lead with that. And as long as you do, you will be able to get through any challenge that's in front of you. Before I move on, the obstacles thus far could just be a fear of initiating the journey. Like, I have everything ready, but I just can't push start. So hopefully this gives you the necessary push to do that, because we don't want you to miss an opportunity, okay? Impatience can be another block. So be patient and give yourself some distance from something, and you'll see the growth happen a little faster than you imagined. Boundaries, accepting less and not allowing yourself to have the opportunity to dream. These are the blocks so far, but they're all manageable blocks. Let's see how you're showing up. Pretty darn good. We have the Ace here, Ace of Pentacles. It feels like there's something ripe for the picking, a low-hanging fruit. I hated that phrase in corporate, but it's a good descriptor. Something's there, and it's like, why am I not going for it? And that, I think, connects really nicely to the Six of Swords. There's an obvious choice for many of you, and it's just a matter of reaching for it and saying, let's do it. If you need something, ask. If you want something, express it. If something's offered, go for it. If you have something to offer, offer it. But we need to have the hand either in the giving or receiving, because the pentacle's stuck. It's waiting. You're the one that's initiating. You're the one that's moving it, okay? So keep on keeping on with that. This is interesting. So the word transactional came through. There might be a relationship that reveals itself to be more transactional. Someone came into your life because they want something, because they need something, or more elevated because they can do something for you. I like that version of it. So you may wonder, why did they come through at this point? Oh, they're opening a door. They're giving me a key. They're helping me. They're a helper. They're a teacher. They're a giver. So you might have that, but you have to be aware of it. For those of you that got the Two of Swords, this is very much for you. There's an option there, but it's not obvious until you look. In one of my crazy corporate travels, there was a point where I was very unhappy at a place, and I had a peer, same title, that I had to talk to that came in, and I knew they were kind of there to replace me at the long run. But they said, I can help you. I have a door, but I was waiting for you to come to me because I didn't want you to think that I didn't have your best interest at heart. So I'm so glad you came to me. Here's what you should do. And I did it, and it helped. And I was able to get something else. So I wouldn't have known unless I sat down and said, I need to talk. And this person was like, I'm so glad you asked. I've been waiting for you. So it feels like there might be someone who's waiting for you to come to them. They're not going to put it in front of you because you needed to shift. There's a powerful moment when you decide, I want something more than this. I need something better. This isn't enough. And I remember talking to someone else, like going out to the parking lot and kind of just letting it all out. And this person said, it's not worth it. What are you doing here? I said, I know you're right. But both people were waiting for me to say things so that they could share either their solution or to just say, you gotta go. I needed both of them for different reasons, and I haven't really kept in touch with them since, but it was a pivotal thing. They were there to help and to nudge and to push. So there's someone around you that can offer something, whether it's mental support, emotional support, or a resource, or a door that they can open. And they're just waiting so that you can feel empowered. They want you to be the decider, because if they put it in front of you, it might feel like they're trying to control or influence you. So I feel like you might have an option that you don't realize. For the rest of you, it's just saying, let's go. You've got this. What are you going to do to bring this to the next level? Okay? The one thing that really is coming through loud and clear here for many of you in the environment is that there's a lot of stress going on. The Ten of Swords can be arguments, toxic workplace, toxic environment, also just this sort of burnout energy. And it's around you. It's not you, but it's affecting you. And it could eventually be you if you don't step away from it. That was maybe why I saw the plane or you underwater, because it's like it's flooding the engines, this emotion. So don't let it. Remove yourself from this, whatever this might be. A person, a place, an environment, a thing. It is in the environment, so it does not need to flood the engines. If there's an argument, you don't have to take the bait and say like someone's trying to trigger you. What you can say is, I'm not going to respond to that right now. Or this really makes me angry and I'm going to come back later when I have the ability to not be so emotional right now. Or you really hurt me. I'm not going to talk to you until we've sorted that out. That's it. Don't say what you want to say that might be a cheap sort of jab, because the swords cut both ways. You hurt them, it hurts you too. Sometimes it feels good, but it could create more of a scar than you think. So my encouragement is to walk in a different direction and just let it go, because they're in pain. I had a situation once where I was at a grocery store and someone just said something super insulting and weird, and I looked at them and I'm like, God, they're an angry person. I'm going to move on, because I could read the energy very quickly. And when I just kind of didn't have any reaction in my face, they just walked in another path. They wanted me to react and I didn't. And then they realized I'm not the right person. And it's kind of like Obi-Wan in the original Star Wars first episode, not like episode 1, I guess it was episode 4, A New Hope. But he's like, these aren't the droids you're looking for. I'm like, I'm not the energy that you want in the situation. Move on. Carry on. So that kind of mind trick really does work, because you're telling spirit, nah. We have the Six of Pentacles here in Hopes, Fears, and Opportunities. So you have an opportunity this week and today in particular to set the balance in the right direction. This is about work-life balance. This can be about making sure that you're getting what you need in not just sort of like support, but also maybe even the money in a situation. I don't have to hold on to this. This is the devil you know. It may seem like it's enough, but it's not. You have the capacity to negotiate, to find better balance in your life. And now is the time to really try to create that, right? There's always going to be open hands, asking, wanting, requesting more. You don't have to keep giving 24/7, 365. You can say, and you could, not just you could, but you should say no occasionally. I can do this, I can't do this, or I can't do this today. How does tomorrow look? You can say no or not yet, depending on the situation. You can also ask for support. If you're willing to do this, I can help you with that. Barter, negotiate, delegate, and also sometimes decline. It's okay to say, I don't want this. And this is what I was seeing with being underwater. It was the King of Cups. So normally the King of Cups should be rising above. I like that we have a fish here, but this is almost like a fish out of water, but I was seeing like a person underwater. Take the metaphor however you want. There's emotions that make you feel like you're not fitting in a situation. And the initial reaction is to go into being overwhelmed. You don't have to be overwhelmed, okay? Talk to someone, sit with something for a moment, give yourself time to adjust mentally and emotionally so that you can make the most of this situation. Some of you may not be, you're in a situation where there's an emotional leader. They're making decisions based on how they feel, but not on what is right. And we're not talking about intuition. We're talking about it's kind of like a tyrant, but like a little kid that's grown up and hasn't gotten in touch with their emotions. If there's someone around you that throws tantrums, that's really what I'm getting here. It's important to just not get tied up in that, because it's like a little kid going through it and screaming, and like sometimes you just have to let them get their tantrum out and then breathe and say, okay, can we move on now? So there might be someone throwing a tantrum and it's just not worth your time and energy. All right, let's expand this forecast and see what additional messages want to come through. We'll look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. We'll start off with health, which is your mind, body, and spirit. And we have a beautiful card coming through for this one. Well, actually, no, I thought it was a dragonfly. It's a fly. But they still are iridescent. I guess there's a beauty in the fly. But let's talk about this. And let me take a drink first, and then we'll get into it. Okay. One thing that I do like about a fly is its ability to land almost anywhere. It can be upside down. It can be on the wall, a fly on the wall. Interesting energy for health. But let's look at what else it represents. Frustration, survival, and impurity. The impurity piece is because of what flies typically sit on outside. So there might be a situation around you, and I think it's coming through. The fly's right there on the Ten of Swords. Something that doesn't pass the test, doesn't smell right, doesn't look right, doesn't feel right. And flies are a lower vibrational insect, but they still come through to get our attention. Bzz, they're buzzing around us saying, hey, pay attention to this. So when we get something like the devil or the fly, it's saying this needs to be addressed. And I feel like it is in the environment. So if there's something in the environment that isn't good, deal with it. The frustration piece is the emotional component of the King of Cups in reverse. And it could also be fear, frustration, or doubt that's coming through. Like I said, I like the ability to land on your feet. You'll get through this, but there's something that stinks. There's something that doesn't feel right. And it's important to really make sure that that's managed before moving forward. And that might be why some of you are pausing before you go into that Six of Swords energy, right? Okay. So let's take a look at some general messages around health. The Four of Pentacles is about how you're holding on to stress and also how you're managing stress in your life. So these two work in tandem. The Four of Pentacles can show tension in your shoulders, in your heart space. So you might be holding on to stress so much that it could be like a panic attack or hyperventilation. We want to open up the chest and open up the heart chakra and open up this area and breathe. Throat, heart, solar plexus. We're trying to open the space there. So any sort of exercises and meditation techniques that open that center, that's really what I'm picking up on. And then pay attention to things like hypertension and high blood pressure, which can be indicative of stress. Codependencies in relationships, which can add to some of that. A lack of balance in food, exercise, sleep, or stress management. This can be depression or just heavy emotions. And the Ten of Swords can be an indication of pain. I mentioned that the other day. It could be short term, just like you slept the wrong way. It could be chronic, and in that case, you want to, of course, work with your doctor. It can also just be, I'm afraid that I'm going to fail. I'm not going to do this to the best of my ability. I strongly believe that there is no such thing as failure if you're learning. Rejection can help you be protected and redirect you on a better path. Pain can help you focus on fixing and addressing something that doesn't serve or suit your highest good. And even on the 10 of Swords, there's always an indication of light. They did a moon in this deck, and even in the traditional 10 of Swords, you can't quite tell what it is. But usually it's like it's either the dawn of a new day, or there's a light source in the distance, a light at the end of the tunnel. So this too shall pass, but you have to pay attention to it. And it looks like it's more in the environment. I'd rather it be there than in the body. So it feels like there's something like a toxic environment, or a difficult person, or stress that you need to address before it gets integrated and becomes an internal 10 of Swords, which we don't want. Okay? Wealth, resources, life purpose, and career. Love it. Couldn't be better if we tried. Keep on keeping on. Yellow brick road. So also very much like the 6 of Swords, we keep seeing people with their suitcase getting ready to travel. So my main message here is you can't... Did she take her high heels off? That's a funny. But yeah, like, why is she even walking in heels? She's not, but like, I would say get your sneakers on instead. And let's really plan accordingly for the next leg of the journey. I feel like she could have left those behind or put those in the suitcase. With this card, it's not how far you get today. It's just the fact that you're continuing to take a step at a time, and to also like recalibrate and ask yourself, do I want to take a fork in the road? But what a perfect card to come through in the energy of wealth. Don't give up, basically. Persevere. And we had the 9 of Wands that came through. You can get through this. You will get through this, okay? All right, so just taking a look at this and looking at general notes around money, opportunity, career, without getting too in the weeds of it. So because I want to make this as general and open as possible rather than going into all of those subcategories, because I do find that exhausting sometimes as a reader. Okay, so one thing here is you don't have to settle. And this works for everybody, whether it's settling for a living situation, a job, a relationship, whatever it is that you're settling for and you're not receiving enough of, because that is resources overall, that is wealth overall. You don't have to do it because we see something more in the opportunity space. This isn't enough. You can move on. We actually have 2 cards that show more, 7 and 6 of Pentacles. So you've got this, but if you hold on and don't allow yourself to shed your skin, you'll never know. So you're being very much invited to try something different and new, okay? I really think it's important to pay attention to how you feel with the people around you. The best jobs, schools, and activities are ones where you feel like you're part of something bigger and it's exciting and it's engaging. But if you don't feel that, even if you're getting compensated, it may not be enough. It may not be enough to make up for the stress. I know that I miss that consistent paycheck that I had when I was in corporate environments, but I don't think I'd last more than a day or maybe a week in that kind of 9-to-5 job, because I wouldn't put up with I couldn't do it anymore. Not at this point of my life. I miss the consistent paycheck, but I don't miss the drama. So no amount of like high titles or high pay would make it worth it for me, because it also chipped away at my mental and physical health. So there's a better path. So make sure that you're getting enough time to feed your mind and your body, and it's not just the bank account. This is also holding yourself to such a high expectation that everything you do feels like it's not enough. But look at all these great cards around Pentacles. Once we get out of the headspace, we have a crossing card that shows a lot and shows growth and recovery. We have one that shows balance, so 7 of Pentacles, growth, but patience with that. 6 of Pentacles, recalibrating, and then the Ace here too. So you've got this. You're worthy. You're ready. Don't set yourself up for this feeling of I'm failing or I'm not enough, because the cards are begging you to look in a different direction and showing quite a different outcome. In order to grow, you might need to go or something needs to go. The Travelers and the 6 of Swords, connected to this growth, recovery, and rebounding energy. It's time. You either need to level up or move out or move on, because the skin is already starting to be shed. It's just the final kind of wiggling out that has to happen right now. You can and you will move through whatever challenge is in front of you. For some of you, it's like, Nicholas, I can't pay the bills, or the payment isn't enough for the stress that I'm going through. Think through this. There is a solution. It could be a physical move. It could be self-employment. It could be changing around the investments. It could be talking to someone that knows about the door that they can open up for you. But it's not sitting still. That is the one thing that I can guarantee you. There is a better place than where you're at. Emotionally, physically, literally. Okay. And I see balance and recalibration on the horizon for you. But you have to be happy. It is in your divine right to experience love, joy, and happiness. It's not, we don't have to be martyrs in this lifetime. There are moments of struggle and suffering, but they don't have to be the primary factor in our life, okay? I ultimately am seeing growth. 7, 6, and ace, growth, but something has to be released, and it's hard to let it go. And you're not going to be stuck. I can offer this for the people that are struggling. It's not going to be forever in this energy, but it's time to move on. And it's time to try something different. Can you find something different now? Yes. But I really want you to be discerning and make sure that you're not going from, the frying pan to the fire, or whatever that is. Because we want it to be an upgrade, okay? Okay. Now let's move on to love and relationships. I feel like this card has been coming through a lot. I feel like it came through last weekend. So we have Granitha Mudra. From true peace comes liberation. So, especially since we just had that 10 of Swords, partnership, forgiveness, love, or just let it be. Give them space, give yourself some peace. You can't help everyone. You can't heal everything or everyone. You can't solve everything. And so you pick and choose, and you allow people's own ability or inability to receive be a part of that, because you have gifts to give to the world, and they should be in a place where they're appreciated, celebrated, and compensated too. All right. For love and relationships, I will break this one down because there's just a few subcategories. If you're partnered, here's what I see. Avoid that argument. Your partner may be stressed and want to take it out on you. You might be stressed and want to take it out on them. There might be something that you disagreed about, but I do see the ability to work through it with love and communication, but someone's holding on to a grudge. Or there's a lot of fear and frustration around finances. Or someone feels exhausted. So it's not all about the two of you. There's something else. When you go to the source of that and see the source of it, it won't come between you quite as much as it might be right now. Okay? I also see passion, which is something that's good here, and love. So if we can get back into that, that would be good. There's not a lot of swords here. So we need to communicate. Your partner may not be a mind reader. So let them know how you feel and what you want and what you don't want. Okay? But I do see a compromise and balance coming in. So one step at a time. If you're single and looking, can you find love? Yes. However, are you ready right now? The 10 of Swords shows that you might be going through, first of all, you might be on a rebound. And this is just saying you're not going to repeat it, but it's still some healing to be done. If you really want to get to know someone, you have to open up the heart a little bit. So either they are holding back or you are holding back, and that's not going to make it easy for a longer term sort of thing. Don't be afraid to make the first move. Fear of rejection, but like I said, if they say no, then you won't pine. You're like, all right, thanks for being honest, and you can just move on. Don't get upset, don't get bothered, don't let it get to you. Just say, okay, no worries, have a good day. That's all we need to do when we're rejected. That wasn't the right person. If they ghost you, just delete them. If it's a profile, just be like, block, delete, move on. I don't have time for this, thank you. Because no communication can be communication. No is definitely communication. And if you can't get someone to commit, that's also communication. Don't put any more effort than you need to into something. If you've expressed yourself and you're clear and they're not, then that's actually what you need to know. They're not ready, okay? We have a water sign coming through, but the water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, might be going through their own things and might need more than you're ready to give. You can engage with them, but you just have to set expectations. Fire sign seems a little bit more manageable and a little bit more sort of like compatible, if you will, with your energy right now. So those are the two presenting energies. There might be one rejection if you say something, but there's another person who's more open and more ready. Okay, if you are happily single, good for you. In this moment in time, what you can focus on is creation, creating something new, travel, moving on to something newer, better, different. You can continue to grow, personal development, very much an opportunity right now, and heal. I actually think healing yourself and healing your finances come through loud and clear. So put the energy there. And by the way, the Ace of Pentacles is right on top of the hurt card, the pain card. So it's like, I can medicate this. I can do it through my own work. It doesn't have to be someone else healing or helping me. I can do it. And then we see balance after that. So this is difficult, but it helps you get into a better place. Let's take a look at your destiny. We forget this, but you're reconnecting with this. It's your star moment. So I was called here on a mission, but I got distracted. I got distracted by family. I got distracted by money. I got distracted by health, by politics, by environment, by insert the blank, period. Now I'm going to get centered and I'm going to step into the purpose and the passion. And I'm going to shine a light on what it is that I can do to make a difference. And what I hear in my, like clairaudiently, it was, I was here, you are here. You want to think, it's like when people carve it on a tree or something, their initials. What is your legacy? What is your I was here moment when you're up in spirit and you can see the impact that you made on people, on places, on things, and hopefully a positive impact? Because you are here now. We're in the present and we're thinking about where we want to be next, but I'm also getting legacy. The soul is coming through and saying, what is it that you want to be remembered by? It doesn't matter if you're 15 or 115. It's good to think about the kind of impact that you want to make on the world. And I think we should think of it at every phase and stage of life. We get to do it as kids when we're 5, when we're 7, when we're 20, but for some reason, we aren't allowed as adults. But you are always allowed in this space, and I will continue to remind you that you don't stop growing or growing up or growing old. We're always growing. So let's not be afraid of that, okay? And your mission is what brings you happiness. If you're like, I don't know what I'm here for, what makes you happy? Especially when you're doing it and think about people, activities, and things that you've accomplished that bring satisfaction. More of that. Less of the stuff that doesn't make you happy. And some of our missions are very much introspective. So you might be on a mission this lifetime to reclaim your power, your voice, and your confidence. Because this lifetime you're meant to heal and build yourself so that maybe next lifetime you can heal and connect with others. There's no wrong way to put the mission. Sometimes it's a personal mission, an introspective, an inner mission. Ooh, intermission. A break. But also, just to play on words there, but it could also be external. So don't feel like it has to be something so lofty that you can't do it. What are you working on to overcome within? Because as you start to do those inner missions, you can take an intermission and then think about what you can do for the rest of the world. That T makes all the difference there. Okay. Sorry, I enjoy puns sometimes and words and wordplay. It's weird about the homonyms there. Let's take a quick glance at the table before we meditate. And I want to kind of go back to the idea here of obstacles. And I'll pull a reader's choice here before we get into the meditation. So obstacles. holding on to something longer than you need to hold on to it. Another obstacle is getting wrapped up in someone else's energy. Another obstacle is being afraid to take the first step. So for these three, you're going to take the first step, you're going to create boundaries, and you're going to let go and hold space for something more. Obstacle, impatience. Just get some distance and you'll see the growth and you'll see that you're further along than you think. Obstacle, being afraid of seeing the larger world. Just take one step at a time. Think of the temperance angel. You don't have to try to consume everything all at once, but one step at a time. Obstacle, pain, failure, fear. You're not going to fail. Pain is a teacher, but it doesn't have to remain one. And this is in the environment. It's not you. It's reflecting an aspect of you, but it's not you. So you can overcome this. Obstacle, lack of balance. Solution, discernment. Say what you want. Say what you need. Say no. Delegate. Obstacle, emotions. Solution, meditation, talking to other people, allowing it to be felt. We try to sweep it under the rug. You got to deal with it now. Opportunity is knocking, but these other obstacles get in the way. And you are the opportunity here. You've got the ace. You got what it takes. Okay, so that's how I dealt with that. So let's take a look at, in the reader's choice here, one last sort of thing, blessing and block. So let's see I'll take my picture off so we have some more room. Blessing, block. And we got the strength card. Yes, we were meant to do that. Okay. So the blessing is focusing on money. We love abundance. We don't necessarily have to love money. You can't take it with you, but we love the flow of abundance. But when you try to do something so that you can solely have money, we get distracted and it may not be the best approach. You see this in art. Sometimes there's a cash grab in a movie and it's like, where's the plot? Clearly they just got a few people and it was just to get money. You'll see it sometimes in music where a musician isn't experimenting the way that they used to because they're trying to be successful and it falls flat. Whereas experimentation sometimes yields a better result. One artist that I like a lot because they experiment, I can think of two different generations, but like Lady Gaga and Madonna. They consistently, throughout most of their careers, took risks, particularly Madonna, I would say from the 80s until mid-2000s. Like she just kept trying different genres, different producers. I actually really like some of the stuff that she's putting out right now. Feels like she's going back and doing some cool stuff. Lady Gaga as well. She experiments. Art pop is a big experimental album. I like it when someone takes a risk. So don't be afraid to take a risk. And sometimes through the lens of time, you're like, that was a really good album. Like with Madonna, Bedtime Story or Erotica or some of the weird ones that she did. You're like, that wasn't bad. You can see where that led to like Ray of Light. She was experimenting and then found her way for like future projects. So don't be afraid to sort of like experiment and try something different. So did I do blessing and block? So the blessing could be also that we're just going to read these together. I'm going to look at the blessing and the block of two because Spirit wants me to do that. So I feel like abundance wants to come your way, but you're fixated on it too much. So when you stop trying so much, what might be a block becomes a blessing. And sometimes money can be a blessing, but then it feels like a block because you're focused on it. So just know that things come and go. Success comes and go. Money will come and go. But when you're in the flow of it, you're going to be led in the right direction. Power, authority, and basically those two things can be both a blessing and a block. Sometimes when you speak up, you're seen as difficult. But sometimes when you do something great, you're seen as a leader, and it's just perspective and sometimes the lens of time and biases. Because unfortunately, we're still seeing gender inequities with this. So depending on what gender you are, someone will judge you differently and it's not fair. So the lens of time will view it differently. You've got to follow your own path. There could be someone in your life right now that's also, I've shifted here. I'm like, there's blessings and blocks in both of these, so I have to look at it from a bigger lens. Someone might be trying to control you, and you can find a way to move beyond that particular sort of archetype. This is not about wrong versus right, leader versus follower. This is about you doing something that is feeling really good within. My favorite strength cards are the ones that we see like this one, which is peace between the divine feminine and masculine. So we're taking the old script and just tearing it up and saying, or we could work together, or we could both have this, or there doesn't have to be a hierarchy. There could be a flat structure, equity. Sometimes we have to tear down old structures and elevate marginalized groups to get to that place of balance. But I really feel like that's the future. It's not right versus wrong or divine feminine versus divine masculine. It's a bigger piece that we haven't given ourselves a chance to see. Because when I connect with spirits, like particularly angelic spirits, they don't have gender. God can't have a single gender. It has everything and beyond our own sort of expressions on this planet. So when you go to energy, these things that we create on the planet don't exist. There is no class. There's no rich or poor. There is no gender as we see it. It's not polarized in true energy and spirit as you go into the higher dimensions. There are hierarchies depending on if you view it through a religious context, but when you go outside of it and view it from energy, it's beyond. Because I have loved ones that have chosen to go the path of, this is kind of deep, but like my mom went into heaven because she was raised in that energy. But then I have other relatives that went into just an energetic space that is also spirit beyond that. Because there's different expressions and how you want it to be, you can go into those different spheres of energy. There's more than one path. So it is what you make of it. And it's beyond our books on the planet and our understanding of it. It's so much bigger than that. So tap into your limitless potential and let go of some of the things that you've been taught. If anything, in this reading, I want to help you unlearn and question and think beyond and go into your inner power. Because it's been taken away systematically over the millennia. We've been taught, we've been molded, but we're supposed to be breaking free of that. That's the snake. We're supposed to get out of the sort of like old structure. And it's also the age of Aquarius where we're supposed to rise above, okay? So much deeper. And then I thought I was going to get on that. I'm like, we're not just going to do blessings and blocks. We're going to go beyond. So it's beyond the archetype. The reason we chose strength was probably so I could pick this card, which doesn't show either archetype. It shows both. Divine, masculine, and feminine. Because again, when I see particularly angelic energy, it doesn't have a gender. When I connect with what we would call God, it doesn't have a gender. If it had one, it would be, like when you think about it, the fact that we projected a divine masculine on it in some cultures is ridiculous because you can't birth. Divine masculine can't, divine feminine can. But it would be both and more because it's everything. Because we also have on this planet things that don't have a gender that can just divide. Cells can divide. There's nothing in that. That's not a gender. It's a division. So there's beyond our own expression. We don't think about all of that. You can have one, the other, both, more than that, because we're so 3D on this. So whatever your problem is, whatever is in front of you, the solution is myriad. It's multidimensional. There's more than one path. And to get you out of your block, you have to just let it all go and say, what else is out there? What am I missing? It's a big world. Let's meditate. Because I could just talk for forever on this. Okay. Close your eyes. We're going to get into the flow of abundance. I actually quite like what we were talking about earlier. Imagine that you are, instead of water, imagine that it's a golden stream of energy, or silver, whatever color you want, maybe just pure white, but like one of those, because that's higher energy. So gold, silver, white, maybe all three colors. And you are seated. I kind of see myself in a mudra, hands held like on my cross-legged, like hands like that. But imagine that you're seated at the very bottom of this sort of energetic flow. We're going to allow it to flow through our crown chakra. So take a deep breath and imagine that the energy's all around you, but also specifically going through the crown, and it's opening it up, it's clearing it out. And you can even reach up to feel the energy and then reach down to plant your hand on the planet that you're on, wherever you are. As above, so below. You're the conduit, you're the magician. So we're pulling the energy first through our crown chakra, and we're clearing out the old programming from parents, from society, from the universe. We're just saying, I don't need that anymore. I'm going to allow the higher frequency, the higher dimensions, the higher knowledge to flow through, my connection to source, to the Akashic records, to the guides, angels, and beyond. All the higher energy is now open, and we're communicating with it. Even if it's subtly and you're not seeing it and hearing it, you're open to it now. We're now pulling that into our third eye, letting go of any blocks there because we are afraid of what might be coming through. We're going to be seeing exactly what we need to be seeing, so we're opening up the third eye, removing any calcification on the pineal gland, allowing it to be subtly activated and open and connected with source energy. Pulling it now into the throat and pushing away all the garbage from friends, family, teachers, society, neighbors, your own voice, all that stuff. Get it out. Open up the throat chakra fully and allow the energy now to flow through the crown, the third eye, and the throat. And I'm seeing it as it flows through this, going in all directions and pushing through these. We're actually, like, chakras move clockwise, so I'm seeing it kind of light them all up, bright white light, as we're going through these, even though they have their own colors, because we're going through the cleaning mode. Okay, allowing that to now go from the throat to the heart. Take a deep breath as you're going through the heart. Lots of lifetimes of energy there. Let it just be. Let it just be, and know that you are more than enough. And as you're opening up this chakra, it's actually going to help us do some of the work because it's going throughout the entire body, lighting you up and allowing you to feel this sense of self-worth and self-love. Another deep breath. You can even put your hands on the solar plexus. Think to yourself, I am powerful, worthy, lovable, ready, willing, divine. Continue to put positive adjectives describing yourself. And melt away any sort of umbilical cords connecting you to old things in your life, anything in that power center, and just allow the power to sit there now. The inner child, tell it that you love it, that you haven't forgotten it. Good. Pulling all the energy again down through the crown, third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, now going into the areas where we hold creativity, sexuality, expression, allowing now for that second chakra to feel like it's safe. It's safe to be yourself. That's kind of veering into the first chakra, but we do need to feel safe to express ourselves. It's a little difficult in today's world sometimes, but it's okay and it's important to be yourself. Think about what you want to create. Pull some of that bright light energy into the second chakra and think to yourself, I have the power and the potential and the creative energy to make this happen. And now allowing all of that waterfall to flow all the way through you and now into the root chakra. Feeling connected to the planet, feeling connected to your purpose, feeling safe. You are safe to be yourself. You are safe to succeed. You are safe. And now you are connected to the flow of energy that has always been present and always been able to come through you. Now focus on one thing that you're trying to heal, create, or release this week or today, and see the energy flowing from you to that, and pushing through any sort of blocks. Sit with this for a second or two. On replay, you can pause this, and then when you're finally ready, gently open your eyes, wiggle your hands and fingers a little bit, and now focus on a final question that you have for me, okay? Okay. If you asked a yes or no, the Chariot is a yes. We're focusing very much on the energy of momentum here, the two horses lovingly embracing the person in the background, making sure that with love, with devotion, that we move forward, not just with speed and money and power. It's actually, I'm doing this with love, with care, with kindness. What an elevated Chariot card that is. So yeah, you can do whatever you're trying to do, but with love, with gentle devotion. Putting a little bit of that divine feminine into a card that's very activated. So we got to mix the two together. Make sure that you speak up for yourself. Make sure that you take care of things that you really care about. And we do see the capacity for things to move in the right direction. Okay. That, my friends, was a powerful meditation. It's a powerful reading. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. If you did, do me a favor. Like and subscribe. Share this video with others. I've been changing formats, been experimenting with new things. Those of you that have continued to stick around and celebrate this, I really appreciate you. Help me find other people that feel the same way, because I feel very much drawn to continue to experiment and go deeper rather than just sort of like do what's expected. So that's where I'm at. And so I'd love for all of you that are the sort of like diehards to just kind of help me find that tribe of people. That's where I'm at. So thank you. It really makes a difference to like, to subscribe, and on the replay to comment. It may be annoying to hear that, but that's how the algorithm works. So thank you for helping. I know we met our goal here, and I forgot about that. So I will do something special here in just a moment. I'm going to do whatever needs to come through. So I just remembered that. We went so deep. I feel like I already gave 110%, but I'll give like 2% more. All right. If you'd like to follow me on social media, please do that. I'm on all major platforms. It's always my username. Nicholas Ashbaugh, I should say, is the username. If you want to just make sure that for the one or two exceptions that you know what it is, go to my website. From there, by the way, you can also book a private reading, or you can give back through PayPal if you'd like to. Before I go into the gratitude portion, let me see with the time that remains here, since it's because I didn't see us make the goal, even though I know we made the goal. So what I'd like to see here is what it is that we've missed. So I'll do a couple of things that we never ask for ourselves, but we need to. And it's typically looking at fears, looking at what we're afraid to ask, all of that. So I think I'll pull 4 different questions because I don't want to go forever, but I do want to honor those that helped me make the bonus round here, because I wouldn't be here without your support. So if people didn't stick around through the meditation, that's their loss. Okay. This is actually a nice bonus for everyone that did stay. All right. I'd like to focus on the thing that you are afraid of most, your deepest fear. Some of us are afraid of being alone. Some of us are afraid of being seen. Some of us are worried, am I doing enough? The desire to want to be loved. So the most important thing that you can do to bring this into the upright position is to love yourself, to be gentle with yourself, to forgive yourself. And in core relationships in your life, hold the same sort of energy for others. I love that it's not just aspen leaves, they're like little tiny hearts around these 2 forest lovers. So know that when you're in that resonance, someone else will come in, or opportunities will come in that also resonate with you and celebrate you. So we're really focusing on the internal energy. But this also is indicative of incoming opportunities, love, and support. Sometimes we're afraid to ask. Don't be afraid. Okay? So that was question 1. Question 2, and I got a volunteer, was how do I get beyond this moment? Seeing beyond the moment is one of my favorite things to look at. So the moon encourages you to go to the deepest point, because we're afraid sometimes, like, well, what if you have to feel it? You have to feel through it. And then you're going to be able to reclaim something that you lost when you overcome this. Something feels heavy, but it's not. And you're going to get through it, and you're going to feel powerful and strong and glad that you did deal with it and get through that. Okay? Honesty and integrity are so important right now. So you owe it to yourself to be honest with yourself and honest with others. You're not saving them or you by being dishonest. So I also just have to call out like integrity on this one too. What are you missing? What are you missing? This can be a hidden blessing. So dreams do come true. That is the 9 of Cups. But Spirit helps those who help themselves. And your dream is just about ready to come through. But emotions are blocking you. And it's basically, we all get this fear from time to time. And it could be connected to the lovers, by the way. But what if I can't do this? What if I'm not enough? What if I end up alone? What if? And you're putting the negatives in because this is reversed. What if I get more than I thought? What if my dreams come true? What if I do find love? What if I've just been distracted? What if the good stuff happens too? In Pretty Woman, I love the line where Robert Gere is kind of talking to Julia Roberts. I think I called her Julia Child one reading because I was distracted. Julia Roberts. But he's giving her a compliment, and she's like, it's hard. The bad stuff is easier to believe. Because to imagine that something amazing can happen, it's sometimes discombobulating. We are used to the feeling of rejection, but the feeling of elation and success is sometimes harder to deal with. Sometimes the good stuff wants to come through. What if? Okay, this card just volunteered. So what does Spirit want us to focus on? King of Pentacles. So what if, particularly when it comes to money, love, and opportunities, what if it's overflowing? So the King of Pentacles has more than enough. The one thing that he wants and should be focusing on is not just more, but how can I help? How can I make a difference? So we want to make sure that you're looking at now and next, not just now, not just money. But the King of Pentacles is about as good as it gets next to the Wheel of Fortune when it comes to being able to create, like the green thumb. Since we had a partnership card, what does Spirit want us to look at with partnerships? So you complete you, Ace of Cups in reverse. A partner mirrors you, like I said, but can you find love? Yes. Just let go of the need to know when. It's coming. For those that are looking for love. For those that are looking for support, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to let people know what you need if you already have a partner in your life. We need to kind of like let go of some stuff. So inner healing is really important. Asking for support is important. Reciprocity is important in existing relationships. And when it comes to incoming relationships, yes, but the timing isn't quite right yet. So just trust. Stop thinking, well, what if I end up alone? What if my partner and I are aligning so that we can cosmically meet? So now, separate from this, but maybe for some of you it is this, when and how is your synchronicity coming through so you can be ready for it? Spirit's like, Nicholas, stop asking. Stop asking. It's not in the direction that you think it's coming from. And it's not what you think. So try something else. Be open to the unexpected. Spirit doesn't want to communicate this because if I say too much or if you see too much, you won't be surprised. I feel like there's a really pleasant surprise on the horizon that will make you very happy. As a reader, the one thing that I can tell you is it's not what you expect, but it could be better. And one of the things that you can start to do is to just open yourself up. This bird is not in a cage. There's no top to the cage. There's no door, but it's conditioned to think that it's stuck. So all that Spirit's telling you is, look, it's already there. It's within, and you're going to accomplish what you think you can accomplish, but not in the way, shape, or form that you anticipated. It's different. And some of you are stuck in wanting it to show up the old way. And I'm sorry to say it's not going to happen that way, but better and differently. Anything you want to show me? Yeah. So with the Chariot in reverse, you're not going in the wrong direction. You're not stuck, but you are being asked to recalibrate your direction. I think when you change your direction, then you'll start to connect with some of these things that you're looking for. So there you go. Every time we meet a bonus like we did today, I'll do something a little different. Today, it's just what I was called to look at in the moment. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. I'd like to take a couple of moments to express gratitude, particularly to those who gave back. And even if the counter didn't show it, I saw it. It helped us meet our goal. Okay, so let me say thanks to that. But thank you to everybody. Just watching and participating makes my heart happy. And thank you for everybody that can't give back but chooses to click the share button and share it. That's a great way. Or can comment. Engaging or giving. They're both helpful. Just watching this video to its end is helpful, so thank you. Okay, so for those that did choose to give back with stickers, I will say thank you now. All right, and I'll honor anybody that did a membership too. I'll say both. Okay, Marie, thank you so much for being a member and for giving back today. I appreciate it. Teresa, thank you so much for your sticker. I appreciate you. Jamie, good to see you again, my friend. Happy Sunday. Thank you for being a member and for your sticker. Is it Sonnet? I think it is. Sonnet, thank you so much for the rose. I appreciate that. And Walk, good to see you. Thanks for being a member, for your stickers. And I saw you did multiple already, so I'll thank you in advance. Handel Ngul, thank you very much for your membership and for your sticker. Taksamika. Let's see, we have I'm just going to say not, because I can see that part. Not, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Kathy Smith, thanks for being a member and for the sticker. Yeah, by the way, happy holiday to those that celebrate it tomorrow. Colette, thank you so much for your sticker, your membership, and for contributing a lot today. I appreciate that. K and X, thank you so much for being a member and for your sticker. Hugs and kisses, Goths, XOXO, thank you very much for rejoining. Good to have you back as a member. Adventure with Me, thank you for taking this adventure with me. I appreciate your sticker and for your membership. Daniela, thank you very much for your sticker and membership. Yolanda, good to see you as always. Thank you for your sticker. Shelly Williams, thanks for the sticker and membership. Let's see, Alice? Yes, Alice. Thank you so much for your sticker and for being a longtime member. I appreciate that. MPS, thank you so much for the virtual coffee sticker. I appreciate that. Sam Murphy, good to see you again. Thanks for your sticker and membership. And Walk, thank you again. K&X, thank you for gifting a membership to somebody else, and welcome to that member. Eileen, 617, thank you very much for your sticker. PJ Good, thanks for being a member and for giving a sticker today. Bonnie, thank you for your sticker. I appreciate it. PJ, thanks again for the multiple contributions. Roello, I think it is. Ruel. I'm just going to say Rue. Thank you so much for your sticker. Alba, thank you for the sticker and for being a longtime member. Denise, thank you very much for your sticker and membership as well. PJ, thanks again. Lauren Z, thank you very much for the sticker and for the membership. Thank you also for another sticker right after that. Jeannie with X's all around it. Thank you so much for being a very long time member. I can see that in the crown, and for a very generous sticker. Much appreciated. Georgia, good to see you again. Thanks for the sticker and membership. And Walk, speaking of long time members, 30 months. That's amazing. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here, and you're a light too. Everybody that's here is like what did I used to say back in the day? What is it? A lighthouse. I think that we're all lighthouses in times of darkness and challenge. So thank you all for doing your part too. Popcorn, thanks for being a member and for your sticker. Georgia2733, thank you for 33 months. That's a nice number. Thank you you're on the right path too. I appreciate it. LLA224, thanks for the sticker. Also celebrating a long-time membership here. Jan Fritz, 40 months. Get out of town, but don't. Stay in town, but that's very cool to see. Rafaela, thank you for upgrading. Oh my God. I need to do something for the higher tiers, so this inspires me. I'll think about it this week. You are out of this world, literally, with the galactic membership. Okay, let's see. Phoebe, good to see you, old friend. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for your sticker and long-term membership. Regina, it's also great to see you. 51 months. Oh my God. Happy to keep showing up. That's what we got to keep doing each and every day. I'll keep doing it as long as I can. So thank you, Regina. Good to see you. Falcon, thank you very much for your sticker. And LD, thank you so much for your sticker and membership. I really appreciate you guys. Honestly, I've been doing this since 2015. That's a long time. One of the people that have been on here before it was like popular to do all of this, because I think when I started, there might have been like 10 or 15 readers, and now I think there's like 10 or 15,000, it feels like, plus a bunch of AI stuff. So that's why like I don't take for granted the support that I get from all of you. And it is the longtime members, like all these people that have been with me for 30 and 50 months that allow me to do that. So thank you. As long as you're here, I'll be here. Let's look at Apollo really quick before we wrap up. Hey, buddy. I know we're going to walk in a second. But first, I have to say thanks to everybody, wishing you lots of love and light in the week ahead. I found a format that works for me for the monthlies, so I will be able to do multiple ones per day. No more than 3, because YouTube doesn't allow me to kind of launch more than that. So I'm going to try to wrap them all up, because I'm moving in a week. And not this upcoming with the collective. After that, I'll be in my temporary surroundings, and then I'm figuring out next steps. So there's going to be changing backdrops, maybe changing cities this year as well. So more to come. Let's continue this adventure together. Until I see you again, be well. Lots of love and light. Bye-bye.